Okay, Marina, what is AI doing to our language? And do we all sound the same now?
What AI is doing to our language is homogenizes it when used heavily, right? So in a way, if we use AI indiscriminately and rely on it too much, it is making us all sound the same. And that was illustrated in a very nice study. Links in the comments. And Belen, if you don't mind, I'm going to replace your image with a chart. And what you can see on this chart right now is the semantic embedding of texts written by humans with or without the usage of LLMs in the semantic space. So what this chart basically says is how close in meaning and style and generally how similar essays written by humans are. Those are represented by the little gray circles. And as you can see, they're scattered all over the place. So essays written by humans from scratch are very different. They sound differently, they feel differently, and so on. Then we have the purple triangles, and these were essays written by humans with help of AI. So humans could use AI to slightly check the grammar or improve the wording, but still humans were in control. And you can again see that the content is quite varied. So again, the little triangles occupy the semantic space. They're about to be found all over. And then in the end, we have the green crosses. And those were the essays which were written with the heavy usage of a large language model. What happened there is that all those essays were shifted to the top right corner of the semantic space, so they became much more similar. They started sounding the same, and also they started occupying a space in the semantic space where no human written essays live. So what the LLM did here was basically two things. Number one is reduce the diversity between the essays, unify them and make them all sound the same, and also make them all sound crucially different from what a human written essay sounds like. So yeah, definitely LLMs homogenize the text that are written by humans, and they also make them sound very AI-like. This is why we can actually tell very easily texts which were generated by AI or written by humans who then had AI run over the text, make edits, fix grammar, improve wording, and accepted all the edits indiscriminately. If I may just add one thing to that, because I find it very interesting. People were also looking in this study at how AI changes a text written by a human when asked to just improve the wording or fix the grammar. What they found out is the following. When a human is asked to edit texts written by other humans, right? So suppose you have 100 texts written by humans, you give them to 100 human editors to just fix the text, improve slightly. What you can see there is that the edits made by the humans all go in different directions. If I can show the chart again, Belen, the edits go all in different directions and they're of different kind of magnitude. And basically the changes made by human editors are very varied. They're very different. While when an AI model is asked to improve a text, even if it's asked just to fix grammar, the changes that the AI models do, and no matter which model, the researchers checked actually 3 models. The changes are, first of all, very large in magnitude. And secondly, they're all into the same direction. They're all taking the text and moving it in the same direction to the place where human essays normally don't live, okay? So AI, even when asked to tweak the text just a little bit and make minor changes, actually makes big changes to the extent that it can change even the content of the text to state the exact opposite of what the human author originally intended to say.
That's fascinating, Marina. I think the most interesting thing from this study is that LLMs not only change the shape or the format of the text and how it is written, but also the meaning, the semantics of it, which is really important to understand because not everyone will see those light changes. And these LLM brains will be inserting in the text and in your brand, in the content that you're creating and putting out there without you even realizing because it sounds correct. And it is probably correct, but it might not entail what you're trying to communicate. So it's very important to know this and to understand this so that you can actually use AI in the most efficient way. And speaking about efficiency, in this research, They also looked at how LLMs were actually making us more efficient or more creative, and how people were perceiving their work in progress, where they were leveraging AI to create content, to write essays. So is it real what we've been seeing and hearing all over and over again, that LLMs are making us more efficient and even more creative, or what's the research telling us about that?
Let's start with creativity. Efficiency, we can discuss a bit later. So on an individual level, it is a fair statement to say that AI makes the individual more creative, because again, in the same study, no, actually it was a different study, links in the comments, people looked at diversity in content created by AI. And what they found out is that within a certain essay, the creativity increases. So there are more unexpected semantic choices. They were using cosine similarity to calculate that. And yes, within an essay, creativity really increased. And when human uses AI to write an essay or a text, right, it's more creative. There's more, let's say, the twists, the unexpected metaphors, and that sort of things. But if you ask an AI model to generate 100 or 1,000 texts creatively, each one of them is very creative according to the measure, but when you sum them all up, they are all the same. In other words, they are all creative in the very same way. This is as if you ask an AI model to paint the most creative surrealistic image, and then it creates, I don't know, melting clocks hanging from branches. And you go, wow, this is extremely creative. And then when you prompt the AI 1,000 times, now create 1,000 surrealistic images, they all come out as melting clocks, right? So on a picture level, individual picture is super creative, but then again, it's all creative in the same way.
That's really interesting, and again, very important to take into consideration when creating content with AI, even for yourself as a writer or person putting content out there, or as a brand. If you want to differentiate yourself from competitors or from other brands, you need to put your human soul, your human brand on the mix. And talking about also efficiency and sounding smarter, sounding more professional, we've also seen how many people are these days leveraging to write emails, to write reports, to share with their colleagues at work, especially for non-native speakers of certain languages, English, for example. Or here we are not native speakers of English, so we might feel more confident when using LLMs to redo our emails, our reports, to make us sound smarter, more professional. Is that true that we are actually sounding more professional and smarter when putting our thoughts into the LLM and sharing it with the world?
Yeah, it very much depends on how the LLM is being used. You know that there are studies, like the famous MIT study called Your Brain on ChatGPT, which showed that indiscriminate usage of AI and extensive usage of AI actually reduces brain activity, that it is bad for the brain, makes you less creative, less efficient, in the end, stupider, right? Because you're losing connectivity and a neural activity in your brain. But on the other hand, there are other studies which show that when AI is used as a tool to achieve a particular goal, it actually can increase brain activity, which is very promising. So the key here is use AI in the right way. Use it as a tool. Don't use it just to do cognitive offloading, or even, I would say, cognitive surrender, where you prompt the model to write your email to your colleague and then you just copy paste whatever came out of that. This is cognitive surrender. This is what people have now started calling system zero thinking, which is basically no thinking, right? As opposed to system one, system two thinking by Kahneman. And this system zero thinking and the cognitive surrender actually leads to a phenomenon called work slop, which has been looked at by, I believe there was a research piece in the Harvard Business Review. We will share again the link in the comments. And what they looked at is how colleagues perceive other colleagues when the latter produce the work slop, or texts, reports, emails, analysis that are heavily AI generated. And contrary to the expectations of the AI users, actually colleagues who receive AI work slop slope, think of the authors as being less creative, less capable, less reliable and trustworthy, of course, because this sort of cognitive offloading is actually not really a cognitive offloading onto the AI model who does the work. In the end, it's cognitive offloading onto the colleague who is going to receive that email and will have to work herself through the meaning to find out what the story there is. Or it's a offloading onto your boss who is going to get a report that is largely meaningless and will have to do all the work to extract the learnings from the data herself or himself. And in the end, paradoxically, colleagues who receive work slope created by other colleagues think of those colleagues as being less intelligent. So in a way, we are using artificial intelligence to help us create more intelligent output. And if our colleague then think of this actually being the less intelligent thing to do, it goes against the original goal. Yeah, but then again, as I said, it all depends on how AI is being used. And there is mounting research showing that there is a way to use AI that is not perceived as being AI work slope, right? It is using AI as a tool to enhance our capabilities and actually produce higher quality outputs. So there is hope.
Thank you, Marina. So that's the lesson learned here. Let's use AI smartly and wisely and to augment our human capabilities and not to just become lazy and offload everything to the machines. I think there's so much potential and research is pointing into the right direction. What not to do first, and then let's figure out what we need to do. Thank you and see you
Thank you,
soon.
Belle.